I used to believe in the myth of pure talent. Standing here today, I can't help but think back to that young man in high school who seemed to have it all: natural athleticism, quick wit, and that effortless charm everyone envied. Mike was his name. While the rest of us struggled through basketball practice, Mike glided across the court like he was born with a ball in his hands. 20 years later, I ran into Mike at a local coffee shop. Instead of the NBA career everyone had predicted, he was working a regular 9-to-5, living an ordinary life. Meanwhile, Tommy, the kid, who couldn't make a single basket during those early practices, had built a successful business empire through sheer determination and countless hours of hard work. This encounter changed my entire perspective on success. Talent is like a head start in a marathon. It might give you initial advantage, but it's the persistent stride, the relentless forward motion that carries you across the finish line. I have spent decades studying success patterns across different fields, interviewing countless achievers, and one truth consistently emerges. Hard work is the great equalizer. When you are sleeping, someone else is working. When you are taking a break, someone else is pushing through. When you are satisfied with good enough, someone else is striving for excellence. The most successful people I have met share one common trait. They are not necessarily the most gifted, but they are the ones who show up every single day, rain or shine. They are the ones who practice their craft long after others have called it quits. They are the ones who understand that excellence is not an act, but a habit. Every single day you have a choice. You can rely on your natural abilities and coast through life, or you can push yourself beyond your comfort zone, beyond what comes easily. The beauty of hard work is that it's available to everyone. It does not discriminate based on background, education, or natural talent. I remember reading about a study that revealed something remarkable about top performers in various fields. The research showed that natural talent contributed only about 10% to their success. The other 90%, pure, unadulterated hard work. This is not just theory. I have witnessed this principle transform lives, reshape destinies, and turn underdogs into champions. While talent might determine where you start, it's your work ethic that determines where you finish. The most beautiful part about this truth is that it puts success within everyone's reach. It's not about waiting to be discovered or lamenting the genes you weren't born with. It's about taking control of your destiny through consistent, dedicated effort. Speaking of taking control, I'd like to share with you some extraordinary examples of how the principle of hard work over talent has played out in various fields, from sports to business, from education to the arts. How deeply we have been misled about the power of natural talent. Growing up, we are surrounded by stories of prodigies: the Mozart who composed at 5, the Jordan who seemed born to play basketball. These stories paint a seductive but dangerous picture that greatness is somehow preordained, written in our DNA. Recent research from cognitive psychology has completely shattered this talent-first mentality. Scientists studied identical twins, people with exactly the same genetic makeup, and found something remarkable. Even with identical genes, their achievements vary dramatically based on one simple factor: the amount of dedicated practice they put in. What we call natural talent actually accounts for less than 10% of achievement in any field. This is not just theory. I have seen it play out countless times in the real world. Take Warren Buffett, for example. Many think he has some mystical talent for picking stocks. But dig deeper, and you will find a man who spent his childhood reading every book on investing he could find, who practiced analyzing companies relentlessly, who put in thousands of hours before making his first successful investment. Or consider the story of Thomas Edison. We often hear about his 10,000 failed attempts to create the light bulb. But what's less discussed is how he systematically outworked every other inventor of his time. While others relied on their intuition and talent, Edison established a rigorous testing system, working methodically through every possible combination until he succeeded. The science behind this is fascinating. Our brains physically change through dedicated practice. It's called neuroplasticity. Every hour of focused practice creates new neural pathways, strengthens connections, and quite literally rebuilds your brain to become better at your chosen skill. Talent does not create these pathways. Only consistent, deliberate practice does. I once met a young entrepreneur who was struggling to compete with her more naturally gifted peers. She felt defeated, believing she lacked the innate business sense others seemed to possess. But here's what changed everything for her. She started treating business skills like a muscle that needed daily exercise. She read one business case study every morning before breakfast, analyzed one company strategy every afternoon, and practiced public speaking for an hour every evening. Within 2 years, she had outperformed all those natural entrepreneurs who relied solely on their instincts. This brings us to a crucial point about expertise. Studies show that what we perceive as natural talent is often just the result of early exposure and practice. Child prodigies don't emerge from nowhere. They typically have environments that encouraged early, intensive practice in their field. The key difference is not their genes. It's the hours they invested before anyone was watching. The most liberating part about debunking the talent myth is realizing that excellence is a choice available to everyone. It's not about having the right genes or being born with it. It's about making a decision to put in the work day after day, regardless of how you feel or what others believe about your potential. And speaking of putting in the work, there's something incredibly powerful about understanding exactly how deliberate practice transforms average performers into extraordinary achievers. There is something magical that happens when you understand the true nature of intentional practice. It's not just about putting in time, it's about putting in the right kind of time. I have studied successful people across every field imaginable, and I have discovered that excellence is not about mindless repetition. It's about focused, intentional improvement. Have you ever wondered why some people can practice something for 20 years and barely improve, while others become masters in far less time? The secret lies in how they practice. Deliberate practice is not comfortable. It's not about doing what you already know. It's about consistently pushing yourself to the edge of your capabilities where failure and learning dance together. The 10,000-hour principle is not just about clocking time. It's about clocking intelligent time. Every hour needs to count. When you break down any complex skill into its fundamental components, something remarkable happens. You begin to see that mastery is not some mysterious force. It's a series of small, manageable challenges that you can systematically conquer. The human brain is designed to form habits to create neural pathways that make complex tasks become second nature. But here's the key. You have to train it the right way. Start with the fundamentals, master them completely, then gradually increase the complexity. It's like building a skyscraper. You need a solid foundation before you can reach for the clouds. I have worked with countless individuals who transformed their lives by understanding this principle. They stopped waiting for motivation and started building systems. They created daily routines that made excellence inevitable. Remember this, motivation is fleeting, but habits last a lifetime. The most successful people I know don't rely on willpower alone. They design their environment to make practice inevitable. They schedule their important work during their peak energy hours. They eliminate distractions before they can derail their focus. They understand that sustainable success is not about heroic efforts. It's about consistent daily actions that compound over time. Deliberate practice requires feedback. You need to know what's working and what is not. The best performers in any field regularly analyze their performance, seek constructive criticism, and adjust their approach based on results. They're not just putting in hours. They're putting in smart hours. And this is where most people go wrong. They practice what they're already good at, staying in their comfort zone, never pushing into that uncomfortable space where real growth happens. But true mastery requires us to face our weaknesses head on, to practice precisely what we find most challenging. The path to excellence is rarely smooth, but that's exactly what makes it valuable. I often think about the difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who don't. It's not that successful people face fewer obstacles. They just respond to them differently. Every significant achievement in history has faced seemingly insurmountable challenges. When obstacles appear, most people see them as signs to stop. But here's the truth. Obstacles are actually signposts showing you exactly where you need to grow. They're not walls. They are windows into your next level of development. I have seen this principle transform lives time and time again. Take the story of Sarah, a client who dreamed of starting her own business. She faced every obstacle imaginable, limited capital, fierce competition, a recession. But instead of letting these challenges defeat her, she used them as a blueprint for growth. Each problem became a skill to master, each setback a lesson to learn. Mental toughness is not something you are born with, it's something you develop like a muscle. When you face resistance, when you push through discomfort, you are literally rewiring your brain to become more resilient. The science behind this is fascinating. Every time you overcome a challenge, your brain creates new neural pathways that make you stronger for the next obstacle. Resilience is not about being fearless. It's about feeling the fear and moving forward anyway. It's about understanding that discomfort is the price of growth. The most successful people I have studied don't avoid challenges. They actively seek them out because they understand that's where real progress happens. The key to overcoming obstacles lies in your perspective. When you face a challenge, ask yourself, what's the opportunity hidden in this problem? Every obstacle carries within it the seeds of an equal or greater benefit. This is not just positive thinking. It's a practical approach to problem solving that transforms barriers into stepping stones. And this brings us to something truly transformative, understanding how these daily battles, these consistent efforts to overcome obstacles, create a compound effect that can completely revolutionize your life. The most powerful force in the universe is not talent or even raw effort. It's compound interest of your hard work. Every single day, your actions are like tiny deposits in the bank of excellence. At first, the returns seem small, almost insignificant. But over time, something magical happens. Water dripping on a rock, one drop does not make a difference. 1,000 drops, still no visible change. But keep that water dripping consistently, day after day, year after year, and eventually it carves through solid stone. That's exactly how hard work transforms your life. I have studied thousands of success stories across every field imaginable, and they all share this same pattern. It's never about the big dramatic moments. It's about the small, consistent actions that nobody sees. The athlete who practices 1 extra hour when everyone else has gone home. The entrepreneur who makes 1 more call after a day of rejections. The writer who writes 1 more page even when inspiration is not there. Many people believe success comes from occasional bursts of incredible effort, but that's like trying to get fit by working out for 10 hours once a month. It does not work. What works is showing up every single day, putting in focused effort, even when it's just for a short time. The compound effect works on your skills, your knowledge, your relationships, your opportunities, everything. Each small improvement builds on the last. A 1% improvement every day does not sound like much, but compound that over a year, and you are 37 times better. That's not linear growth. That's exponential transformation. The compound effect requires patience. In today's world of instant gratification, most people can't handle the waiting. They give up just before their efforts are about to create breakthrough results. Remember this. The time will pass anyway. The question is, say, will you be closer to your goals when it does? I often tell people to think like farmers, not like hunters. A hunter needs immediate results. They either catch something today or go hungry. But a farmer plants seeds, tends them daily, and trusts the process. They understand that harvest comes in its own time, but it comes without fail if you have done the work consistently. Let me share with you some powerful evidence that demonstrates the triumph of hard work over raw talent. The story that always moves me is that of Howard Schultz, who grew up in public housing and became a global business leader. He faced 242 rejections from banks while trying to fund his coffee shop vision. But here's the remarkable part. He kept refining his pitch, learning from each rejection until he finally succeeded. Today, that persistence has transformed into thousands of stores worldwide. Consider the groundbreaking research from Florida State University that studied elite performers across different fields. They discovered something fascinating. The top performers weren't the ones who displayed early natural talent. Instead, they were the ones who engaged in what researchers call deliberate practice for at least 10 years before achieving significant success. I recently spoke with a tech entrepreneur who failed in her first 3 startups. Most people would have given up, labeled themselves as not cut out for business, but she approached each failure as a data point, meticulously analyzing what went wrong. Her 4th venture just received $50 million in funding. When I asked her the secret, she said, "I didn't fail 3 times. I found 3,000 ways that didn't work." The scientific evidence is overwhelming. A landmark study in the journal Psychological Science revealed that deliberate practice accounts for 80% of the difference in performance between elite and average performers. Talent, surprisingly, only explained about 4% of the variance. Look at the world of sports. Michael Phelps wasn't born with swim fins. He trained for 5 hours a day, 365 days a year, for over a decade before winning his first Olympic gold. His coach said something remarkable. Michael's gift is not his wingspan or his ankle flexibility. It's his unrelenting dedication to practice every single detail. In academia, a fascinating study followed 400 students over 4 years. The results shattered the myth of natural intelligence. The highest achievers weren't those with the highest IQs, but those who consistently put in structured study time, even when the material was difficult or boring. Consider the tech industry. The founders of Instagram spent countless hours learning programming after their regular jobs. Their first attempt, Bourbon, failed completely. But instead of giving up, they analyzed user data, rebuilt from scratch, and created one of the most successful platforms in history. The evidence extends to creative fields too. Best-selling author Stephen King wrote every single day for 9 years before selling his first novel. He kept every rejection letter, using them as motivation to improve his craft. Today, his dedication to the process has resulted in over 350 million books. But here's what's truly powerful about all these examples. They are not outliers. They are blueprints. They show us that extraordinary success is not about extraordinary talent. It's about extraordinary dedication. And speaking of dedication, let me show you exactly how to put these principles into action in your own life. Now, putting these principles into action requires a systematic approach. The first step is establishing your baseline. Where are you right now? Take an honest inventory of your skills, your daily habits, and your current results. This becomes your starting point for measurable improvement. Create what I call a success hour. The first 60 minutes of your day dedicated solely to your most important goal. No emails, no phone calls, just focused work on your primary objective. This single habit has transformed more careers than almost any other strategy I have encountered. Set what I call micro goals, daily achievable targets that build toward your larger vision. If you are learning a new skill, commit to 30 minutes of deliberate practice. If you are building a business, make 5 meaningful connections each day. If you are writing, produce 500 words before breakfast. Track everything. Use a simple journal or digital tool to record your daily progress. The mere act of measurement increases performance. Note your breakthroughs, your challenges, and most importantly, your daily consistency score. Are you showing up every day? Are you putting in the focus time? Implement the 2-minute rule for getting started. When resistance hits, commit to just 2 minutes of work. Often, you will find yourself continuing far beyond those initial minutes. It's about lowering the barrier to entry while maintaining high standards for your actual work. Create accountability structures. Find a mentor or join a mastermind group where you must report your progress weekly. Nothing drives consistent action like knowing others are expecting results from you. Share your goals with people who will hold you to your highest standards. Most importantly, design your environment for success. Remove friction from your desired behaviors and add friction to distractions. Put your running shoes by your bed if you want to exercise in the morning. Block social media during your work hours. Make excellence the path of least resistance. As we stand here today, remember this moment. The moment you truly understood that your potential is not limited by your natural gifts, but by your willingness to work harder than anyone else in the room. Your future success is not waiting to be discovered. It's waiting to be earned. Excellence is a habit, not an event. The distance between where you are and where you want to be will be crossed by consistent, deliberate action. Every single day, you have the opportunity to lay another brick in the foundation of your success. A year from now, you will wish you had started today. 5 years from now, you will look back at this moment as either the day you took control of your destiny or just another day you let slip by. The choice is yours, and it's a choice you make not once, but every single day. Remember, talent is common, hard work is rare, and the combination of the two is unstoppable. Your potential is literally unlimited when you commit to outworking your competition, including your past self. The only question remaining is, what will you do with this knowledge? Starting tomorrow morning, wake up 1 hour earlier. Take that first step. Make that first commitment to excellence. Your future self is watching, waiting, hoping you will make the right choice. Because in the end, it's not about who's the most talented. It's about who's willing to put in the work when no one else will. Go out there and prove that hard work beats talent when talent does not work hard enough.